So a little over 2 years ago, we hired a new police chief. For the first time in over 150 years, we hired a police chief from outside the Bureau. And it was because Pittsburgh needed a reformer. We needed somebody who could come in, who would have the ability to instill professional standards within the Bureau, take away the politics, and make a Bureau based on merit and the state-of-the-art training. We needed somebody who could mend the wounds with the community, somebody who could basically build a bond between the Pittsburgh Police Bureau and the people that they serve. And we needed somebody who understood 21st century policing, somebody who understood data-driven policing and the technology that was made available, not just to find the bad guy, but to stop crime from happening. And we found that person in Cam McClay. Now, that first day when we gathered here and announced Cam as our police chief, somebody asked him, how long do you think that you'll be here? We knew that we weren't going to have him very long. At that day, he said that 3 years is the average that a police chief serves. Well, we've had him for a little over 2, and I would really love to have him for another year. But there are other things in Chief McClay's future, and there are other ways to be able to serve the public and at the same time make sure that the city of Pittsburgh stays on the track that he's put us on. We're not walking away from any of the initiatives that we found important. In fact, we're doubling down. We will have Chief Schubert acting as the acting chief for the next 90 days. That will give Scott the opportunity to prove that he can be a Pittsburgh police chief. But we build upon what Cam McClay has done. He came in to reform the Pittsburgh Police Bureau, and we are now several steps closer to getting to where we need to be. There's still a lot of work to go, and we will stay on that path. But some of the things, as I look back over 2 years and a few months, that we've been able to accomplish. Right at the forefront, the city has now become a national leader in community-oriented policing, is seen through its participation as one of only a few cities participating through the Department of Justice National Initiative for Building Community Trust and Justice. We will continue to do so. The Bureau has begun cutting-edge training for all officers in implicit bias, a program that departments around the country are seeking to copy. We'll continue to do so. Commanders have new relationship with community leaders throughout the city and with faith leaders at PIN, the Pennsylvania Interfaith Impact Network. We will build further relations. We now have a training facility, a new training facility for our officers, and plans to build a state-of-the-art training facility in the next several years. We'll continue with that, not only for our cadets, but for officers throughout their career. Complaints are down 42% against Pittsburgh police officers. We've adopted data transparency measures to provide the public with real-time information on crimes. We've opened up the books so anybody can be able to see our crime data. We created a crime analysis unit that we haven't had that included civilian crime analysts for the first time in the Bureau's history. We've restructured the Violent Crimes Unit to enhance the Bureau-wide collaboration and adopt research-based best practices. We've adopted a revised code of ethics and an Office of Professional Standards to ensure long-term trust and legitimacy in the Bureau. From that, lawsuits are down 51% against Pittsburgh police officers. We work to increase diversity in the Bureau during a time of great interest in becoming a Pittsburgh police officer. And now the city has more than 900 officers. And that's for the first time since 2002. And we've instilled new leadership in the Bureau, a whole new class with 15 new commanders and a turnover of 60% of all the supervisory positions in promotions that were based on merit and not politics. The changes that Chief McClay has made are here to stay. I'll turn it over now to the Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. 2 years ago, I came to Pittsburgh, and I came here because I was inspired. I was inspired by the resilience of this city, its people, and its police bureau. I came here because I believed that I could make a difference. I was, and I remain fully confident that I understood exactly what transformational changes would need to occur if we were going to restore the integrity of the leadership systems of the Bureau of Police. When I was selected as chief, I was asked to fulfill 3 important objectives. Number 1, institutionalize data-driven, community-oriented policing. Number 2, improve the relationships between Pittsburgh police and our communities. And number 3, to restore the integrity of our leadership systems. Now, I accepted those challenges because I knew that I had the support of my mayor, and I had received assurances that I had the requisite authority to be able to execute on the changes that would be required to create transformational change. Now, when I arrived, I recognized a couple things. First, I recognized there was a lot to do, but most importantly, I recognized that the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police is a far, far better police department than its critics understood. And now, thanks to the hard work and dedication of the men and women of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, and thanks to the outstanding support that we have received from our communities, much has been accomplished. The silos that once characterized the police bureau internally have largely been torn down. We use teamwork, technology, and data to help to cause that to occur. My commanders now use data. We hold daily crime briefings. They use data analysis to direct the deployment of our resources, to analyze problems, and they have the support, as the mayor was saying, with a highly trained team of civilian crime analysts to assist them. I'm very thankful for the generous support of my partners at Allegheny County Human Services, as well as R.K. Mellon. And with their assistance, we have vastly improved our analytic capacity. We have much improved technology available at the hands of our line officers as well, and steps are in place to ensure that those improvements continue into the future. As the mayor was saying, the accountability of our the integrity of our accountability systems have vastly improved as well. Through the creation of the Office of Professional Standards, through teaching all promoted leaders the importance of accountability to the highest standards of ethical conduct, and through systems of oversight, we have made a difference. And the mayor cited the dramatic declines in both lawsuits and complaints against our police officers. We as a Bureau have displayed our courage and our willingness to hold our members accountable when they step across the line. We earned a measure of public trust in that process. Citizens who once distrusted us are now coming to the table as willing partners in helping to keep our communities safe. Improving police-community relations and improving engagement with the communities was by far my easiest task, and all I ask that you do is go to any one of our zone Facebook pages. You will see the just incredible amounts of engagement. I took my hands off the steering wheel of community engagement a long, long time ago because it's what my members wanted to do anyway. While there's much to do, those who were once critics of Pittsburgh police are now our friends, and we are collaborators in improving community trust. As the mayor mentioned, our partnership with the National Initiative for Building Community Trust and Just continues, and we are beginning the difficult work toward the goal of racial reconciliation. Now, this painful, emotionally charged work, I'm going to argue, is some of the most important work facing this nation today, but here in Pittsburgh, we are working together. Through training in procedural justice and implicit bias delivered not just to police officers but the community as well, we are laying the foundation of community trust that's going to help last a lifetime and create safer communities. As the mayor mentioned, also after nearly a decade without significant change, 15 of the top 17 commanders are of my choosing. They understand and support the mission and values you see before you. And I've also been privileged to be able to promote 57% of the existing supervisors. They get it, they understand it. I'm convinced they will be staying the course. We're in the process of improving how our leaders are trained as well. Thanks to the generous support of Heinz Foundation, 70 of my members have already received our leadership training, and by March of 2017, every promoted leader in the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police will have received advanced training in dispersed ethical leadership. This police bureau now has a new generation of leaders ready to take it into the future. However, like any agency undergoing major change, we have been having our growing pains, and we will continue to do so because change is hard. Change is always hard. At this point, I earnestly believe that I have accomplished all that I am able to do. At this point, I've made the decision that I'm going to be stepping aside to pursue other opportunities. I will find other ways to continue to contribute. I'm extremely grateful to Mayor Peduto for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, sir. I'm extremely grateful to the people of this community for welcoming me as being the first chief from outside in 157 years. I'm humbled by the reception and the support I've received. Now, I've often talked to my wife about the angels in Pittsburgh. Tell her about the people who were waiting for me here that I didn't expect to find, whose only motivation seemed to help me succeed. I found angels in the academic communities, really smart people who wanted nothing but to help support and advise me, and I was very grateful for their assistance. There were angels in the political systems, likewise willing to assist me. I found friends, supporters, and advocates in a variety of unexpected places at the local, state, and federal levels, and I'm very, very grateful to all of them. There were a lot of angels in my communities of color. They were eager to help me once they knew that I cared. You see, I've been told that I have been told how important sincerity of our concern is. And simply knowing that we, their police, genuinely care about them, will treat them with dignity and respect, and are willing to fight to keep them safe, that's what most of my communities always wanted from us anyway. That's all they really wanted. And then lastly, there were simply those angels who wanted to help me for the sole unselfish purpose that they love Pittsburgh. And those individuals were willing to go to extraordinary lengths to help me do this difficult job. I'm grateful to all of you, but the time has come for me to pass the torch. So before I go, Pittsburgh, I've got some advice. First, to the men and women of the Police Bureau, stay the course. You are on the right track. Every one of you are leaders. Every one of you have an ethical responsibility to serve this community and for the future success of this organization. Serve with honor. If each member of the Bureau remains motivated to serving our mission, vision, and values, using our core values as their moral compass, each of you will lead an extraordinary life of service, and Pittsburgh will be glad to have had you. For everybody, I remind you, change is hard. I'll say it again, change is hard. Everybody wants things to be different, and we all resist change, right? That's simply human nature. But please understand, improvements only come about with change. For government, in order for our communities to develop trust in government, our government must get serious about transparency. We have to I recognize the importance of privacy interests. Those are, of course, important, but we can never allow privacy interests to be an excuse for secrecy. In a free democracy, the citizens have a right to understand the workings of their government. For those of us in leadership roles as bosses, I want to simply remind that we have to be role models of ethical conduct. If we expect our employees to hold themselves accountable, we have to be role models and have the moral courage to hold ourselves and others accountable. Ethics matter. And lastly, if we're serious about innovation, if you're really serious about transformational change, look at your structures. A famous management expert named Deming once said, "Every system is perfectly designed to obtain the outcomes it achieves." In other words, if you look around you and you don't like what you see, and you can't figure out why nothing's ever changing, look at your structures. Most frequently, problems with effective change are structural, not personal. It's not the people, it's the structure that they're trying to operate in. Excuse my phone. This is a great city, and it's been an honor to serve you all. So I leave here knowing that as I look back on the rest of my professional life, I'm full certain that my proudest moments will be serving as the chief of the Pittsburgh Police. Thank you.
Questions?
Where
Chief,
will
what
you
do you-
go? Do
yeah.
you have a plan? There are a number of vacancies, openings in police bureaus across the country. I think San Francisco. You headed somewhere else or what?
Right, yes, there are a lot of vacancies. A lot of people doing the hard work I do get blown up quite regularly. So that presents plenty of growth opportunity. No, I have gone out of my way to not look for other jobs. I came here trying to do a job. I think I have done the job that I came to do. I think I've taken it as far as I can. I think I've developed leaders ready to take it to the next level. I've always been well provided for in my life. I think the most important work in our nation right now occurs at the intersection of policing, criminal justice reform, and race. I've got passion in those areas, and so I'm going to be looking for other opportunities at some point to contribute, but I haven't identified them yet. I wanted to focus on the job before me.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
Chief, you and I spoke about a month and a half ago, and I asked you then if you had any plans to leave, and you said no, and you said that you would stay as long as the city would have you. Did something change between now and then, or can you address that?
Well, yeah, I can address that. I've been recognizing that I was getting close for a very long time. The mayor and I have been talking about this since mid-August, and I wanted to make sure that the transition was smooth, that it served Pittsburgh, it served my membership well. And was I going to tell you about it? No. Nothing personal. Yes, please.
Did the vote of no confidence have anything to do with your final decision?
No, it didn't. It didn't. It really comes with the territory for urban police chiefs who are trying to change things to undergo a consent decree. I got a lot of messages and phone calls during the day, hey, it happened to you too, and it happens to all of us. It's not entirely insignificant, however, only from the standpoint that when I say that, I don't mean to minimize the feelings of my membership. See, there's a phenomenon in policing referred to as a wrecking ball chief. Sometimes the guy who has to come in and knock down the silos and change the systems and say, I don't care that you always used to do it this way, now there's a better way, ruffles enough feathers and hurts enough feelings that really getting people to want to follow you becomes harder. And so did that calculate into my decision on who is the best to lead the rebuilding phase? Yeah, I thought about it. I could have pressed on. I certainly could have forged on. I had the good support from my mayor. But I also recognize I think I did some pretty good work developing the future leaders.
So is that how you describe yourself, as a wrecking ball chief?
That wasn't my goal.
Okay.
That was absolutely not my goal. But at the end of the day, my responsibility was what's good for Pittsburgh and what's good for the police bureau. And I told my membership very early in my tenure, when they said, well, if things start getting better and you leave, things will get bad. I said, no, my job is to develop the organization, to develop you. The least important person in all of this is me. It's about the community, it's about the organization, and I made the decision that now I've done as much as I can, and now I want to turn it over and pass the torch.
When is your last day?
My last day on the clock will be December 4th, but I've got a lot of accrued time I will be burning between now and then. So my last day here on the ground will probably be the 8th of November. That's right. Election day. I wanted to vote before I leave town and join my wife back in Wisconsin.
Chief, do you have another job?
I don't.
What are you gonna do?
Is there something that you wanted to do here that you didn't get done that still needs more work?
No, there's a lot that's not done yet. Am I pleased with, we've made some progress, but am I pleased about our ability to diversify our workforce? Absolutely not. Again, back to earlier discussions about looking at structure and what ways things we could do to improve. So I would have liked to have been be able to improve our diversity a little bit. We all have. There are a lot of change efforts that are on the right course, but they're not quite done yet. So I leave here extremely proud and extremely happy, and I'm not leaving here with because of frustrations. I'm moving to higher ground. I think I have an opportunity to contribute elsewhere. So.
Are you staying in the city, or are you moving anywhere in particular?
My family is still back in Wisconsin. I've got 2 grandbabies. My son and my daughter both got married, and they're both talking about kids. So I kind of like being a granddad, so I'll probably go back there.
Chief, what made this the right moment for you to make this announcement and to make this decision?
I've always been very, very successful throughout my career trusting my instincts. And over time, I've begun to feel that maybe it's getting close, maybe it's time. And I've seen some things happening within my bureau that made me really proud. I mentioned my daily crime briefings. And what I heard was my assistant chief of operations, I heard all my commanders, and the degree of teamwork and collaboration and ability to work together was not what typified command meetings when I first started. And I saw the way they're using data and arguing over, okay, is this the right thing to do given the data we're looking at? And I started to realize, no, we're in a good place. So I actually started distancing myself from those operations on purpose because I wanted leaders to lead. So no, this just feels like the right time.
Any regrets about your appearance at the DNC? And did the fallout from that one of the factors lead you to reach this decision?
Sure. No, that's a good question. Again, the reason I spoke at the DNC is because I believe that there is a vital message that needs to get out, and I recognize an opportunity to inform the national agenda. Again, back to my earlier points about the critical juncture of police reform, police training, and race as critical issues for our nation. I think somebody needs to be jumping up and down and saying that the continued evolution of and improvement of the policing profession doesn't need to be a negative. In fact, it should be a positive. We need to elevate the policing profession, and we can do that at the same time we rebuild police community trust. These two things are not mutually exclusive, but the national dialogue has been so divisive that, quite frankly, I think a voice needed to stand up and say that we need to aim for the middle. So that's what I did. Well, I do have one regret about that DNC. I regret having chosen to represent Pittsburgh proudly wearing their uniform, not because I think it was the wrong thing to do or that I think it was a violation of ethics, although there's different opinions on that. The reason I regret having done it is it confused and lost the vital message. My message never got out there because we're too busy worrying about my wardrobe.
Chief, is there any other reason other than the fact that you met your goals that you're leaving? Are there any other reasons?
No, yeah, I'm moving because I think I've accomplished what I can here, and I think I see an opportunity to enrich the dialogue on a higher level. Again, my voice didn't quite get out for the DNC as well as it should have here in Pittsburgh because of the resultant drama, but I think that's really the conversation to be had in American policing today, looking at the issues of how do we elevate the policing profession, give them the training, the support. We have to do something effective with officer trauma and stress if we expect our officers to be able to deal with the things that they do, make decisions like legal scholars with guns. So we can't improve a profession while beating on it at the same time. So I think we can elevate policing and we can still be very responsive to our communities. They're not mutually exclusive, and I want to push helping that dialogue.
Anything to say about Chief Schubert, who will be stepping in your lead?
Chief, the mayor asked me when you leave, you have a period of time where you're still on the clock, and he gave me the authority to make the acting. I think Chief Schubert was the obvious heir apparent. He has by far the most experience. He is going to be surrounded by those who have been helping to carry me. Commander Holmes has been my chief of staff and been my right-hand man. Assistant Chief Scarrato wasn't able to be here. Chief Stan Grecki. They knew how to police Pittsburgh, and I only succeeded because of them. So I know he'll be well surrounded just like I was, and I'm pretty sure the angels who are here to help me are going to jump right in and help them as well, because it's all about Pittsburgh, not about me.
In the future, do you plan to look for another chief's job, or do you plan to go into teaching?
I don't know.
You're not sure.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna look to see where the opportunities best give me opportunity to contribute in a way that provides something of a work-life balance with my family too. My family deserves better than they've gotten from me for 2 years.
Chief, you touched on a lot of successes. Is there one thing in particular that you just so happen to be most proud of?
Wow.
All those things you listed that is above everything else?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll highlight one because it's counterintuitive. A lot of us nationally, especially in law enforcement, we get all wrapped around the axle about Black Lives Matter and what does that mean? And we get ourselves in defense mode. Well, we had a protest march not long after the Dallas shootings. And there were a lot of activists from other cities here, and they wanted to march, and some of them wanted to do mischief. Some of them wanted to go take the Parkway. They wanted conflict with police. And what I'm most proud of is that a lot of the community partners that we were working with in that movement, marchers in that march, turned that march for me. They were going to go down on the Parkway. I let them know that if they did so, I would have to have my officers use force to stop them, and it would ruin everything we'd accomplished together, and they turned that march with a little bit of help from my officers to just steer the way. So to me, that was a huge success story of the power of police-community relations actually working together and how it's tactical, how it actually keeps police officers safe. We are not on the different sides. We all need each other very, very desperately in this society, and to me, that was the best example I can hold up. So thank you for that question.
Anything else?
Mr. Mayor, you went outside the Department to find the chief when you hired Chief McClay. Do you think it's time now that somebody from inside the department can effectively oversee the bureau?
Yes. I think that we needed somebody, as Chief McClay called it, the wrecking ball chief, to be able to come in to build reform. And that helped to pave the way to where we are now with a data-driven police force, a community relations focus of community policing, of ethics and integrity that has taken away the politics that was a part of the Bureau in the past. And now we have the opportunity with an entire new command staff, a new generation of Pittsburgh police officers who, from the day they began training to working through the zones, have worked together. And that's now their role to build upon what Chief McClay has left us. A police bureau that is professional, a police bureau that works through ethics and integrity, a police bureau that reaches out to work with the community, and one that uses 21st century technology to prevent crime. The question before about the moments, there have been several, but when the incidents happened in Minnesota and Dallas, there was a pit in my stomach that I hadn't felt ever, not as a council member, not as the mayor. And I know Kevin Acklin and I both felt it, and I felt something terrible was going to happen. I just felt it. And instead, immediately, there was a meeting between the Pittsburgh police and the faith leaders of Pittsburgh, and a calling together of how do we get to a point. You could count on one hand the number of cities that was having that conversation. Every other city was dividing upon itself, but in Pittsburgh we were working together because that's the Pittsburgh way. Chief McClay reminded us what it means to be a Pittsburgher. That meeting then led to several other meetings, and in the course I was reminded by something that Chief McClay told all of his commanders at the first meeting: show me your list. Who do you call on that terrible day that something happens? Because it's going to happen. Show me your list. And no commander had a list. Today we have a list. The other thing I think about is the Bloomfield parade for Halloween. And watching an officer, female officer from Zone 5, running with joy to Commander Landau, saying, that little girl remembers me. She remembers that we took her to Kennywood. And feeling a joy between that officer and that child. That's what 21st century policing is about. It's about finding that connection, about being able to build within the Bureau not only the pride that every officer feels when they put on the uniform, but what every Pittsburgher feels when they see an officer. We're so much closer to getting there because this guy was our police chief and showed us that it is possible. And if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in Pittsburgh.
Can we ask Commander Schubert a question?
Yep.
Chief,
Deputy?
Is it deputy?
Have you had time to think
Acting.
about what you might, how you might proceed as the acting chief?
Well, first of all, I really want to thank Chief McClay. As a proud member of the Pittsburgh Police, with 24 years on, and a city resident, he did what needed to be done for the police department. And he took us to that level that we all knew we could get to. And we're very thankful for you for doing that, and for everything you've done for us over the last 2 years to make us all better in what we do. And I don't see many changes at all. We're not going to stray from the vision that we're going. We all believe in it. And as the mayor said, we're going to double down. We're going to keep it moving, and we're just going to enhance it. So with that vision, we're going to work as a team with the community and with the officers to ensure it happens. And we're the best police department in this country. We have really good officers out there, day in and day out, who are doing an amazing job. And we have an amazing community within Pittsburgh. I think we're different from other cities around the country, other towns around the country. We're Pittsburghers. We come together and we work to solve problems, and that's what's going to continue to happen.
All right, everybody. Liz, last question.
Thank you. Just to double check, is the idea that if the next 90 days go well, Chief Schubert will become the permanent chief, or are you guys opening up some sort of a search for a permanent position?
There's no search. This is an opportunity for Chief Schubert to prove that he can be the next Pittsburgh Police Chief.
Thanks.
Scott, how old are you?
It's showtime.
How old are you? I'm 50 years old.
I'm sorry.
I'm 50. I just turned 50 in October.
How long have you been with the police?
24 years. And I think anybody that knows me knows how much I love the city of Pittsburgh and how much I love the Pittsburgh Police. And I thank the mayor for this opportunity, and I thank the chief for the mentoring over the last 2 years. And I really look forward to this. And we're gonna move forward and keep this vision going and show everybody how great Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh Police are.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.